Hello and welcome back to another episode of Extracting Wisdom. Today we're going to be talking about how to be a pre-dental sophomore superstar. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. My name is Brandon Evert, and we are going to be talking about what pre-dental students should be doing during their sophomore year of undergrad in order to maximize their success and maximize their potential for successful dental school admission. So I got 3 main tips for you guys for this episode, and the first one is start getting letters of recommendation your sophomore year. If you listened to that last episode, freshman year is all about getting comfortable and learning how to function in the college environment. Now, sophomore year is really where your pre-dental career is going to start. And one of the first steps is to start getting letters of recommendation. Now, you're going to need 4 different letters, and a lot of schools will recommend 2 from science professors, 1 from a non-science professor, and then 1 from a dentist that you have shadowed. Now, the key is to start getting these letters early, and that is because you don't want to be scrambling the summer of your junior year to get a hold of your professors to get them to write you letters. So if you start your sophomore year, you really only have to focus on getting 1 letter of recommendation per semester, and you will be well on your way to getting all of your necessary letters together, and hopefully you'll get this done before the application comes out. And as I say, one of the most important things as a pre-dental student is to get as much done before the application comes out, which will be June 1st of the summer of your junior year, as you can. Getting more done before the application comes out just means the less work you have to do on the actual application, the more copy and pasting you're going to do, the less stressed you're going to be. So it's never a bad idea to get things done early. And I'm sure you're wondering, how do I get these letters of recommendation? Well, the most important thing is to form relationships with your professors. And a lot of times, professors, especially science professors, teach in great big lecture halls. So it's really hard to get that relationship started just being a student. You're going to have to put in some effort. So tip number 1 is to attend their office hours. That way you are in a small group setting with this professor. They're going to be able to get to know you by name, get to know your face, and get to know a little bit about you and who you are outside of the classroom. Now, if you are attending a large university like I am, chances are that these office hours are going to be swamped with kids. I'm maybe 20, 30 students at a time, and it can be kind of difficult to get that one-on-one time with your professor. So here's what I recommend. If this is the case for you and you're in this situation, send your professor an email and set up a one-on-one meeting with them. What this is going to do is not only is it going to help you get better at the class, because you're going to be mostly talking about material. So bring any questions, or if you feel comfortable with the material, at least just write some questions down that you already know the answer to and bring them to your professor so you can talk. And through talking with them one-on-one, they're going to get to know who you are, get to know your face, and really start forming a great relationship with them. So that is how you tackle forming a relationship. Now, it may be difficult for some professors because some science professors are more focused on teaching for their research rather than teaching to help students learn. And if they aren't that available, here's what I would recommend. And if this is a professor you really want a letter from, this is what you should do. As the semester comes to a close, your professor is going to have a pretty good idea of what kind of student you are based upon the grade that you have in that class. So they know your work ethic, they know who you are as a student. But what's crucial, and especially for a letter of recommendation, is your professor knowing who you are outside of the classroom. And if you can't get this one-on-one time with them, how do you get them to understand who you are? And kind of like a little hack, I would say, to get around this is towards the end of the semester when you're about to ask your professor for a letter, write a 1-page essay on who you are outside of the classroom and your intention to enroll in dental school. And essentially what you've just done is you've written your own letter of recommendation, because professors are most likely going to talk about, who you are as a student based upon the grade that you earned in their class, but then they're also going to pull from the very things that you wrote about yourself. So that's kind of a little hack to get around that and to really get some great letters of recommendation from science professors. And personally, I thought getting letters from science professors was the hardest part. It's a lot easier to get a letter from a non-science professor whose classes are typically smaller, and then a dentist that you shadowed. You have that one-on-one time with them. You've built that relationship with them. So now you're armed with all of the knowledge that you need to get all of your letters of recommendation. And remember, you don't need to get them all at once. If you start early, you can focus on getting one letter per semester to make it easier and more manageable. Now, just two little things when you ask for letters of recommendation. That is, one, make sure they have the official school letterhead, or if your dentist has a letterhead, make sure that's included at the top of the letter, and make sure they also include a digital signature at the bottom. A lot of schools look for this just to make sure that they are official and that they weren't plagiarized in any way. So ask for that ahead of time, because some schools will send those letters back to you and require that you get those things and won't even look at your application until that's done. So in order to not have to worry about those issues, make sure those two things are included. Now, a question you may have is, where am I going to store these letters? How do I ask for these letters? And I'm going to tell you the best way to manage your letters of recommendation, and that is using the online service called interfolio.com. And this is a wonderful service that allows you to email your professors from your profile and request confidential letters of recommendation, and it will store them for you. So when it comes time to apply, you have all of your letters stored, and Interfolio can directly upload those 4 letters right to your application without needing the professor to do it. So this makes things very simple and very quick, and it'll help you complete your application a lot faster. So that was tip number 1. Tip number 2 has to do with taking advantage of your breaks, such as Thanksgiving break, Christmas break, spring break, and the summer of your sophomore year. You really want to use that time to get your shadowing hours in. As I said in previous episodes, most schools require 100 plus hours of shadowing, and that's going to take up a lot of your time. So you need to be able to spread these hours out over the course of a year, 2 years, however long you have, but the point is to spread it out so you don't have to save it all to the end. Now, just a couple things. The 100 hours, the majority of those hours have to be in general dentistry. So that doesn't mean you can't shadow specialists. In fact, they encourage you to see specialists and shadow them to understand how practices refer patients and what the connection is between a general practice office and a specialist. Now, you just can't have more shadowing hours in the specialties than general dentistry. So make sure that the majority of your hours are in general dentistry as opposed to specialists. And just the last couple things, ask as many questions as you can. Never be afraid to ask a dentist a question, because this is your time to learn as much as you can about the field of dentistry to confirm that this is the profession you want to be in before you spend another 4 years in school. Now, the very last thing, when you're shadowing dentists, make sure you keep an accurate account of your shadowing hours. The best way to do this is to keep a journal. All you have to do is keep track of the dates and how many hours you shadowed that dentist, what kind of dentist he or she was, and write a little paragraph about what you learned, the procedures you saw, because on the application, it'll ask you to write a little blurb about each dentist you shadowed. So again, the journal is a powerful tool because essentially you're filling out the application before the application even comes out. So just a great tip to reduce your workload and your stress level when June 1st of your junior year comes around. And finally, one last tip: if you are a sophomore on track to finish organic chemistry before the end of your sophomore year, I would strongly suggest that you study over the summer of your sophomore year and take the DAT like July or August of the summer of your sophomore year. And there's many benefits to this. The first one is organic chemistry is going to be fresh in your head, so you can devote more of your study time to other topics. Second, this gives you an early chance or an early look at the DAT. Now, if you get a fantastic score and you study hard, great. You are not going to have to worry about taking the DAT the summer of your junior year, which is the most popular time to take it. You're not going to have to worry about that on top of applying for dental school. Again, just another way to reduce your stress level and one less thing that you'd have to worry about while you're applying for dental school. Now, the other side to it is, let's say you don't get a good score when you take it the summer of your sophomore year, then that's okay. You are familiar with the exam, you know how it works, you have that experience under your belt. Now you can go and take it again the following summer, and that leaves you with plenty of time. So those are the main benefits to taking the DAT early if you can make that work within your coursework and your schedule. All right, I know I threw a lot of information at you within this episode, so I'm going to wrap it up here. But if you want more in-depth information about the topics I've been covering over the past couple episodes, head on over to Amazon and check out the book I just published called The Ultimate Pre-Dental Guide. This book is going to help arm you with the knowledge necessary to achieve successful dental school admission. What are you waiting for? Order your copy today. I want to thank you very much for listening to episode number 3 of Extracting Wisdom. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss any crucial episodes that'll help you get one step closer to your dream career in dentistry. If you need to contact me or have any questions, I will leave my email in the show notes, as well as the link to interfolio.com, which I discussed earlier in this episode. And that's going to be it for me. My name is Brandon Evert. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next episode. Signing out.